All right, financial coaches, here's a topic that I think is not going to make me popular. Stop thinking and stop saying that you're going to meet people where they're at. Now, bear with me, I've got a couple reasons for this, but first of all, when we tell people that we're going to meet them where they're at, and then we get into what we do, that we work on behavior change, or we look at finances, or we give strategies, or whatever it is, all of that is just telling people what they assume we will do. First of all, if you've ever heard companies say, you should work with us because we have great customer service, is that something that matters to you? Is that something that resonates? I mean, I'm going to expect that a company gives me good customer service. I'm going to expect that a product is going to work when I get it home, right? And that if it doesn't, when I call, they're going to make it right. Or if someone screws up an order, they're going to make it right. Or if something's broken or defective, that they're going to let it be accepted back as a return. My assumption is that there is customer service. So when people tell me, hey, their differentiator is a good customer experience, what that means to me is that they're putting a lot of effort into making something that is just table stakes. So that is worrisome to me in a lot of ways. When I hear people say, hey, we focus on customer service, I actually think, why wouldn't you, right? So my point is, when you tell people, I'm going to meet you where you're at, or you tell people, hey, I meet people where they're at, or whatever you say, I think that does not help you, because the assumption is everyone is going to meet people where they're at. If you're building a house, I'm going to work with you based on your level of knowledge and where you want to go. If you are coming in for a medical treatment, I'm going to explain it in a way that you can understand, right? Everyone meets people where they're at. And so just saying that is kind of making the assumption that you would talk down to people if it weren't for your training. Now, let me give you maybe a specific example, and this is going to be a little extreme, but I've heard people say, hey, what I'm going to do is we're going to sit down together and I want to hear about what you're doing, and then I'm going to meet you where you're at. And what I think that subtly implies is it says, hey, listen, thanks for coming in. I'm an expert on this. I know a ton of stuff, and I know you're kind of stupid, and you don't have the broad base of experience that I do, and I'm going to really dumb things down and make it so that you can understand, because you're here and I'm here, and I am going to be so willing and gracious to meet you where you're at, right? So I think people will understand that you're going to do your best to meet them truly where they're at, but to explain things in layman's terms and to give them practical advice, and then to adjust whenever you need to help them so that they can expand their knowledge and they can learn from you and grow from you. But telling them that you're meeting them where you're at, I feel is somewhat judgmental and somewhat pompous. And so just stop doing it. They will assume that you're going to do it. The second thing of it is there's a practical nature of not saying that. And the reason is because you don't know where people are at, right? You're going to assume that you're going to do this, but you're going to need them to come in and open up to you and have a lot of trust and volunteer a lot of information so that you know what their vocabulary is, what their level of understanding, what their history is, and then you're going to do your best. And still, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to be making a lot of adjustments along the way as you learn more about them. And sometimes you'll be really off base. I've been in conversations where I've said things like, hey, that savings account or that checking account that you have, and people have stopped me and said, what is the difference between a savings and a checking account? Just things that I would have assumed they knew. And so, hey, no problem. I'm not judging them, and I didn't quite get it right. But what we'll do is I will take that question and I will answer it right away out, and I'll say usually something like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump too far ahead in things. Anytime that I use some sort of term, that you're not familiar with, just let me know. Be happy to explain it, and then I will, certainly explain whatever was that was confusing. But we're going to be doing on-the-fly adjustments all the time. And so you're going to be working to try to meet them where they're at, but I bet you won't really be able to meet them where they're at for quite a while. So let's stop just saying that. Let's just do it. People will expect it, and you're going to not be a perfectionist at it anyway. So let's just dispense with it and get working with people no matter what. That's it.